Welcome to another one of our 5-minute videos aimed at the Level 3 Technical Certificate. In this video we're going to talk about the evolution of the Flowbox. The original Flowbox was known as the breast box, and it was their first means of delivering stock onto the wire. Points of note for these particular Flowbox is gravity fed from a head box high up in the roof of the mill. And because of the physics of gravity, if you wanted to double the speed of the machine, then the head box would have to be 4 times as high. If you wanted to triple the speed of the machine, the head box would have to be 9 times as high. Because we have fan pumps these days, we tend to get rid of head boxes, and people call this the flow box or the head box these days. So, points to note. We've said it's gravity fed, an apron. Originally they had this flexible apron here, and so the stock flowed under the baffles out onto this flexible apron that rested on the forming fabric, metal fabric as it was in those days. Very limited flow because you control by gravity, as I've just explained, and the idea of these baffles is really to keep the stock moving. What I want you to take note of in this particular video is the whole focus of all the people that were designing these flow boxes was to keep the stock moving so that you didn't get any flocculation, so that wouldn't contribute to poor formation. So as you're watching this progress, constantly think about or see how they're trying to keep things moving. The second type of flow box was known as still known as an open flow box. They've got rid of the apron, they can now squirt stock out onto the wire. It's still gravity fed, therefore it's still limited flow. We've still got baffles to keep the stock moving, but now they've introduced this new device. They've introduced this thing here called a Holey roll, and it's basically a roll along the width of the machine that turns, and it's full of big holes. And the idea is just to keep turning around, churning, to keep all the stock moving so that you don't get any fibre flocculation. The third flow box, this was after the invention of the fan pump. They wanted to go faster. They realised that you can't use gravity to go faster, so they've now put a lid on the flow box. We now feed stock with a fan pump, and if you've watched the video on fan pumps, you'll remember me saying that one of the problems with fan pumps is the fact that you get pulsations, and pulsations can lead to this problem called barring. The idea of this pneumatic flow box, or sometimes they called it the air cushion flow box, was liquid's not very compressible, but air is quite compressible. So if you got pulsations coming from the fan pump, the air would compress and it would absorb a lot of that pulsation so that you didn't get this barring effect on the wire. They liked Holey rolls, so they now introduced a second Holey roll. So there's a Holey roll here, keeping fibres dispersed, and a Holey roll here, keeping fibres dispersed before it goes out of the slice and onto the wire. The big problem with this is the level, sometimes up, sometimes down. When the level comes down, fibres were sometimes sticking to the inside walls, and then depending on the situation, fibres might dry out and then just fall off. When they fall off, they can either block the slice or they could come out through the slice and form a lump in the paper. If they didn't dry out, they would stay wet and they would go mouldy, and you get green and black and red slime that had a bit of smell to it. It would drop off and it would either block the slice or it would come out onto the sheet as a slime spot. They introduced showers to try and keep them clean, but that didn't really work very well. And so they went away from the pneumatic flow box and they moved on to the hydraulic flow box. Hydraulic flow box completely filled with liquid everywhere, so that there's no chance of build-up of dried fibre or of slime, contaminated fibre. So you see the idea about keeping things moving. We bring the stock in here. Here we have a very small gap, so we force the stock to suddenly massive increase in velocity, and that big increase in velocity, that shock, will break up any fibre flocks that form. As they travel through these pipes, they slowly slow down. There's the potential to flock, but then you bring them all together, you bring all the streams together into this area that's known as the explosion chamber. By bringing all those streams together, you cause a lot of turbulence and you break up fibre flocks. You've got there what we then call macro turbulence, and we don't want macro turbulence going onto the machine. So now, along the whole width of the flow box, we have these sheets. They may be metal sheets or carbon fibre sheets or plastic sheets. And the idea is that you divide up this big volume into lots of little volumes, very small volume, very high surface area of contact, and that reduces the macro turbulence, converts it into micro turbulence, and then you bring everything together before you squirt it out onto the wire. Features of this sort of flow box: it's now fed by a fan pump. We can change stock speeds constantly to try and break up fibre flocks, and we have flow mixing to cause turbulence to break up fibre flocks. Final type of flow box is another version of the hydraulic flow box. Again, you see the same theme. We're bringing stock in through the manifold. You have a very rapid increase in speed, as a very narrow pipe there, to break up fibre flocks. Then a very sudden slowdown in speed to break up fibre flocks. Another slowdown in speed to break up fibre flocks. Bring these streams together and then out through the slice and onto the wire. Features of this: again, it's fed by a fan pump. The features are stock speed changes to break up fibre flocks and flow mixing again to break up fibre flocks. So a summary of what we've talked about in this session. First of all, we had the breast box, then we had the open flow box, then we had the pneumatic flow box, finally we had the hydraulic flow box. So thank you for listening, and I hope you'll follow us on this social media.